guys, I hope you're all well. I just wanted to do a quick video talking about mental health, anxiety, depression, and what it's like to do that with running your own business. Obviously, it's a bit of a delicate subject to talk about and something that people often don't talk about, but it's one of the reasons so many people join this business and so many people become self-employed is they don't feel they're coping very well in a real job or out in the real world because of their anxiety and because of their depression, because of the way their mental health feels. So I wanted to talk about it. I think the best thing for me to do is, first of all, is go through my own experiences with this. So first of all, anyone who's watching this who has never suffered from anxiety or depression or any type of mental health issues, anxiety is not in any way, shape or form just worrying about things in your head. It's not just overthinking things. It's not getting a little bit nervous about stuff. Being anxious is absolutely a brilliant feeling that we all have. It allows us to understand and weigh up our emotions and to assess whether something is dangerous or not. So, to be anxious about something isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's when your brain gets stuck on a loop and it keeps going over and over and it can't drop something, or it's just not working in quite the right way. So for me, my first encounter with mental health problems was back in 2000. So it's just coming over 17 years ago. It's towards the end of 2000. I had lost my mum to cancer at the start of the year. And I dealt with that okay, but my dad had sort of, just disowned everyone, to be honest. He'd decided to go internet dating, found someone new and disappeared with her, sold the house I lived in. I had no choice but to move out. And all this time I was okay, actually. I was doing okay. I then moved down to London with my boyfriend, found out I was pregnant, had a termination because it just wasn't the right time at all, and then had my first ever panic attack when I had no clue what was happening. I thought I was going to die. My head was pounding, my heart was racing, I was being sick. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And it was hideous, and it sort of started a whole string of panic attacks, anxiety. I took myself to A&E more on one occasion because I just felt like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't draw a breath. I was in a constant state of alert. I would clench myself like this so much that I'd pull my chest muscles, and then I'd have continuous chest pain just because I'd pulled the muscles that were there. I'd overly worry. Every time my partner left the house, I would think he was going to get hit by a bus or a car or something awful was going to happen. And I was just in this complete state. I had real insomnia. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I literally was so agitated. I would pace up and down the hall every single night until about 6 a.m. when eventually I'd fall asleep. So I really, really wasn't in a good place at all. Luckily, I think for me, I had studied psychology a little bit. So I knew that the thing with depression, anxiety, was that pills were not going to magically on their own make it better. They could help, they could mask it, but I knew I had to get other treatment. I went to my GP in London and he took one look at me and thought I was some sort of spoiled white girl. And because I didn't have a heroin addiction and live in the suburbs, I just wasn't worth talking to. So he didn't help me at all. So I went back to my doctor in Essex, re-registered living at my boyfriend's parents' address so that I could get into my doctor's. And when I spoke to them, they agreed to give me some antidepressants and they gave me some diazepam so that when I was having panic attacks, I had something that would relax my muscles, stop me bleeding muscles and hopefully calm me down, allow me to sleep. And together we agreed on counselling. It took me 2.5 years of counselling and antidepressants to get myself back into a point where I could come off them. And I was absolutely fine from that point. It was amazing. I was a different person. I left my boyfriend, actually. I realised that wasn't the right place for me to be in. And I moved away. Getting a job, actually, when I had that anxiety was really difficult. But it's something I made myself do. One, because I just couldn't afford to live if I didn't go out to work. And actually, I found once I got a job, going out and going to work was sort of a place that I managed to mask my anxiety and deal with it. And then when I come home, it would all kick off again. So that was actually quite a positive thing for me. I know for other people that feels overwhelming. And some people, they find Osborne and being self-employed can really help because, again, it gives them some focus. So that was probably my absolute worst mental health. And I had no idea what was happening. I was 19 years old. I didn't understand it at all. I'd never really heard of anxiety or mental health problems. It wasn't a big thing back then, like it is so much now. Or it could have just been at my age. I didn't know anything about it. But from that point, I've always been aware if I'm suddenly getting panicky, if things are going out, spinning out of control. I've always been able to calm myself down and been absolutely fine. It hasn't really caused any problems until October last year. No, the year before, 2017. I forget, we're in 2019 now. And out of the blue, I've got hit with anxiety coming back. And for me, it's not really something in my head that happens. I don't overly worry. I'm not overly thinking things. It's all physical symptoms. So for me, I started getting incredibly dizzy. I'd have the headaches that feel like a band is wrapped around your head, like an elastic band pushing against your head the entire time. Bizarrely, something I got this time, which I'd never had before, was these dead legs, these really heavy legs, just feeling like I'd just dragging me to the ground and feeling really painful and really heavy. Feeling like my head was heavy and having to, so if you've been to trainings with me and I've sat like this or like this, and I've done it on some of my live videos, that's normally because my anxiety is not particularly great and I'm feeling like my head is heavy and I'm feeling like I need to hold myself there. So that sort of took me by surprise. I had lots of stuff in the diary and I had to step back. I had to just stop, take some stuff off my plate, do less trainings, do less events, step back a little bit and go, what is going on? Why have I suddenly got hit with this? And I sort of thought it would just go away, to be honest. It's like, we just ride through it. We ride through it. We know what it is. We know what it is. And it just wasn't getting any better. I was still functioning, but it wasn't, I was feeling like I wasn't being able to put into my business what I wanted to. And that was frustrating me. And it's making everything feel harder work than it was. I still managed to keep going. And I think that was really important. I had to keep going and I had to keep trying to do that. And the way I did it was just by small little things at a time. So I would literally lay in bed in the morning and my head would be spinning and I'd feel this band around my head and I'd feel like my thoughts were out of control as well. I couldn't think properly. I couldn't think straight. My mind would go off on a tangent somewhere strange and I'd catch myself and go, why am I thinking that? That doesn't make any sense. And I'd just do one thing at a time. It'd be like, right, I'd just go have a shower. And then if I feel really, really rubbish, I'll lay back down and my husband would take the kids to school. And then I'd get dressed and I'd go, right, if I just get the kids to school, then I can come back and sit on the sofa if I need to. And then I'd get back and be like, if I just send this email, or if I just put this post in Power, or if I just do this one thing. And I'd spend my day with just this one more thing. I just push myself to do this one more thing. And that was how I got my list through. This time last year is when I sort of went, enough is enough. I'm really not getting over this. This isn't going anywhere. I was starting to feel, dreading talking to people. Someone would come round. I remember clearly someone knocked on the door and having a conversation with me, and I just felt like I wasn't in the room at all. Like I was looking down at them, and all I'm thinking was, "Let me shut the door. Let me shut the door. Let me shut the door." And I'm sort of nodding and talking, but not really feeling part of that conversation as well, at all. So that was sort of the point of going, I have to try and do something about this. So I went to my GP and we had a conversation. And she gave me the number for the mental health people to try and sort out some counselling or some CBT sessions. And the result of that was I did go to some group CBT sessions, which were helpful, but wasn't overly stuff that I didn't already know. But it was still nice to know I was doing something each week to try and address the issues. The other thing we agreed on that I was going to take some antidepressants. So she gave me Citrapram. I hadn't taken it before, just a very low dose. And I went away to start taking that. First couple of days, absolutely fine. Third day in, I suddenly got horrendous diarrhea. After that, I suddenly felt like I dropped a couple of E's. I was up in the night, sweating, eyes dilated, just really, dazed, just spaced out and really heart racing, feeling like I'd just taken some really strong drugs. And that just didn't go away. I rang the GP and she was like, I'll just take half. You'll probably just have to fight through this. And then when I went in the next day, she was like, no, you need to stop. You've not reacted to them properly at all. I couldn't eat anything. I went for about 3 days. I thought food was just repulsive. And I was a real mess. And actually that was the week before our big January training event, our big 100 Club get together, spa weekend. and I hadn't actually been able to eat at all that week. I hadn't been able to do pretty much anything. I wasn't feeling prepared, but I knew I had to go to it. I knew I still had to do it. And I think that's the difference with anxiety, is when you're the person who's running something, you've got that extra responsibility. If I had just been attending that training event, but I probably would have cancelled, if I'm in all honesty. And I'm so glad I didn't, because that was probably the best event I'd been to in a long time. We danced till the early hours of the morning. I didn't drink a single bit of alcohol. I wasn't allowed because I was still weak coming off the drugs. So I didn't drink anything, but I laughed and laughed and laughed and danced, and it was exactly what I needed. And actually, most times, I think with anxiety, were the things that you cancel or don't go to, the things going out with friends, coffee mornings, get-togethers, trainings, are sometimes just what you need. It's just that getting over it. So it's definitely not an easy thing to live with, and I'm still now not completely clear of it. I still get times my head's, in fact, I've been dizzy a lot today, and I can't work out if that's actually some type of anxiety or whether that's a bug. And it's just, you learn to deal with it. I went to a training last year, and there was two things that really, really stood out to me that were mentioned. One was small steps, one at a time, and which I've mentioned, that's how I pretty much got through day-to-day life. It's still sometimes how I get through day-to-day life. I try not to put too many things in advance now, because I don't want to feel like it's spinning out control and too much pressure coming on. My day-to-day life with 4 children and the ponies is so much pressure as it is. Anything else on top of that just really can just be too much. My 12-year-old actually is really suffering from anxiety at the moment. That's heartbreaking as well, just to try and help him understand what he needs to do when he just doesn't want to leave the house. Trying to get him into school is really, really difficult. I think the last 2 weeks of term, when it's Christmas and everything was changing, he managed to go in maybe 2 days out of the last 2 weeks. I don't know what's going to happen on Monday morning, whether he's going to go in or not. And I think to watch a child go through it is really, really hard. He has had counselling. He stopped that now. I think we're probably going to have to go back down that route. But it's tricky. So, he's dealing with it, I'm dealing with it, and we're all just trying to take it one step at a time. But the good news is, I suppose, is that if you are suffering from anxiety, if you are suffering from depression, if your mental health just isn't quite there, there are people you can talk to, people you can go and get help, ask for help. Don't be ashamed to speak to your doctor and go and find a way to manage that. Pills you don't want to be on for life, but if you need them to get by, they're not a bad thing, as long as you realise they're temporary and you've got to fix the problem below that. In terms of day-to-day life, sorry, I was going to say the other thing. So one of the things that got to me was small steps one at a time. The other was action comes before motivation. So you need to start doing small steps, and then you'll feel more motivated to carry on and do more. And I think it's key. It's just being aware of what's there. And if you can't go to an event, if you have to cancel something last minute, if you cancel going to a home party, if you cancel running a training, going out to an event, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just try again. Please keep trying. And please, even if you go as far as just driving up to the event and then turning around, just take each little step to get to something one at a time, and you will get there and you will beat it. I know, because I beat the absolute worst mental health I had back 18 years ago, that I will get past it and I will get out the other end. And that's the difference this time round for me than what I had last time. I thought last time I was going to be a loony for the rest of my life. I honestly thought I was going to end up in a loony bin, that I was just going completely crazy. I know this time that it's not, that it's an illness, that it's my brain that's just slightly out of sync. It's just not processing things quite right. And I know I will get past it. And anyone can get past it if any of it will. It may be something that I always have to be aware of, that I always have to keep in check and make sure I don't spin out and things don't happen. But you can have mental health problems and you can still be successful. It doesn't have to dominate your life. It doesn't have to take over. It will be hard. It does make everything more difficult. I appreciate it really, really does make everything more difficult. Even the simplest tasks. I got to the point where I felt like I couldn't go shopping because the bright lights in the supermarket and trying to work out what I needed to put in my basket with the other noise around me just completely would spin me out. I remember standing in Asda with my daughter and just thinking, I'm going to faint, I'm going to pass out, I can't do this. And I sort of went, ooh, and then I sort of snapped back into, okay, I just need to get the checkout and go. So I do know, I do know how difficult it is. I really, really do. But I promise you, if you just take it baby steps, really tiny steps, just put out a post, you know, follow up with someone, go to a small event, do things just that very slightly bit outside your comfort zone, and allow yourself recovery time afterwards, and you will get there. I promise you that you will get there. So anyway, I just wanted to do that video just because I think it's something we don't talk about enough, and I think it's something we do need to acknowledge. And you know, my heart goes out to you if you are suffering in any way like that. If you want to have a chat, message me. That's absolutely fine. But you can get through it, you can beat it, we can have a business and do that. So yeah, love to you all, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.